I'm Mike Bennett, and we're at Professor B Studios in downtown Winston-Salem. Tonight, I have the opportunity to welcome to the show someone that I actually met at a new artist showcase that was hosted by James Vincent Carroll a little while back. We were sitting at one of the tables, kind of hanging out with James and listening to the artists that were playing, and this guy started in, and I kind of went, okay, that's a good cover. He's got a good voice, and he did another one, and at one point my wife leaned over and went, I hope he's got originals. Maybe we could have him on the show. And so we just got to talking, and then we had the opportunity to talk a little bit afterwards. And at that point realized that we need to invite him on. We need to kind of see what's going on, because he's not a homegrown local artist. He's kind of a transplant, and we'll get into more of that in just a second. But if you please help me welcome to the show, Mark Sucoloski.
There you go.
Did I get it right?
You did. Thanks for having me, Mike. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I kind of mentioned the transplant thing. Let's kind of start with the story of how you got down here, because you're not from around here.
Sure. So I am actually a sophomore over at Wake Forest University, not too far away. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland, so 5.5, 6 hours north of Winston, but I love it down here. It's been great. Love the South, love the weather, so it's been a lot of fun.
So are you down here studying music?
I am not. So I'm actually a communications and entrepreneurship major and minor right now. So I am studying all those different things right now and doing a lot of music on the side as well, and just singing wherever I can.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So we were talking a little bit before the show, and there's a few things that came up that I want to make sure we hit on, just because I think they're just too good not to talk about. But something that was surprising to me, that was interesting, that is kind of an in around to, I think, a bit of your story, is that you grew up with music in your family. You grew up around family that was playing and that was doing it and that was gigging, but not in an area where there's a lot of that going on. And so could you, just a little bit about like what's it like to grow up and like even the early starts, because like when you started throwing ages out, it got a little surprising.
Sure. So my dad has been playing in bands ever since I can remember. So I've been on stage with him from literally the time I was 6 years old, hopping up with his big old Stratocaster at the time and hopping up on stage with his band and playing Rockin' in the Free World and stuff like that. But I grew up kind of watching him do his thing with his band, and it was a ton of fun. And we got to 12, 13, 14 years old. I was like, I have an interest. I don't know what I want to do with it yet, but my dad was like, let me help you get started in this kind of, gigging kind of situation. And I got
at 12.
At 12, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we got that first show. It was at my local pool, Delaney Swim Club,
Nice.
up in Lutherville, Maryland, oddly enough. And I started playing. I got up there. I had my list of like 15, 20 songs. I was nervous. I had like one JBL speaker. I had my little guitar. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I get up there and we played the show, and it was awesome. I had a great time. And I've been hooked ever since, and I've been it's been more professional the past 2-3 years, but I mean, I've been going back, playing out ever since I can remember.
Yeah. So what, from an earlier on in those kind of 12, 13, 14 range, what kind of stuff were you playing?
It was predominantly classic rock stuff. So I grew up in a very classic rock heavy family. So it was everything from, you're going to the Beatles, the Eagles, Van Morrison. I mean, every kind of classic tune that you can pull out at a party or whatever.
So some of the stuff you're doing now makes a little more sense now, but it doesn't come out as necessarily a classic rock, heavily influenced.
Sure.
So where was the turn or the parting of ways from that genre for you?
When I found the Eagles. And for me, that's my quintessential kind of, I love this music and I can relate to it so much. Because, I mean, you have a couple exceptions, but for the most part, you're sitting around and you have a couple acoustic guitars, a couple electric guitars, you got drums, bass, and piano, and that's kind of how things get laid out with that band. And that really spoke to me with how I've been writing a lot of my music today and how I've just kind of gone about performing and writing and doing all that kind of stuff. Because the Eagles, to me, they did it right, in my opinion. They kind of came together in this awesome, perfect conglomerate of instruments, and I love that instrumentation. That's what I kind of embody whenever I go out and play and write and perform.
I like it. So with that as kind of the backdrop and in the back of your mind, when you're prepping to do something, or even when you're writing, how much of, not shooting for that as like a copy or a duplication, but from an influence, like how much of a shooting for that is kind of, this is where I've pulled my sound from, comes out in how you're writing and approaching arrangements. And I know on the EP that you've got out, and then even on, like, you just dropped a song, so we're going to talk about that too. But you play all of the stuff that's on there. So when you're sitting down and writing, do you write with everything in mind, or do you write with how you're going to do it when you're by yourself and then fill in the blanks?
It's a really interesting question. When I write, it's more for my kind of performance style. So I'll write it more for acoustic guitar, I can hop on piano if I need to, and a single voice, and that's kind of how it goes. From there, I like to structure my music in a position where, I can add a couple licks if I want to here. I can add X and Y and Z. And when I sit down in the studio, I can sit down and I can figure things out on different instruments enough where we can kind of sit down and make a full band sound without having a full band there. So, it's cheaper, and I like it's more fun for me. I get to play everything.
Less mouths to feed.
It's been really great, and especially sitting down to record. It's so much fun to, okay, now we're going to do this guitar. We're going to do something totally different with this guitar, and then piano, and then drums. So it's been a lot of fun to kind of.
That's cool. So did you start on guitar?
I did. I started on guitar, been in guitar lessons ever since I was probably 4, 5, 6 years old, and then voice after that.
And you're teaching now.
I am teaching now, actually, which has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's been a total change of pace that I did not know was going to happen, but it has been unbelievable and a really, really cool experience so far.
How did that come? Because, you're coming from a place where you started and people were teaching and pouring into you, and then you kind of carried on, and now you're at a place where because of what you're, not because of the career path you're pursuing necessarily, but because of what people see you do, they're asking, can you teach my kid? And I'm asking because I've got a soft spot for it because I've got an education background. But when the ask came across, was it an immediate yeah, I'm in, or was it more of a I don't think you've got the where did you fall on that when the first time you got asked?
I always love to take on new challenges, and that for me, the question was posed, and I was like, it took me aback for a second. I was like, am I equipped to do this? Do I know what I'm doing? And I was like, a couple seconds later, after a little hesitation, I was like, yeah, that actually sounds like a lot of fun. But it's from an education background, it's totally different than getting up there and performing.
Without a doubt.
It's and you have to. I'm teaching younger kids right now, so you have to figure out how to, make it accessible to elementary school kids. When I'm trying to figure out, how I want to do things with different songs and the music theory behind it, and try to put it on a level that they can understand and have fun with. So it's been a really awesome challenge, and I've loved every minute of it so far. But
so you're teaching them all of your songs? Is that
we're not there yet. We're not there yet. We got to learn how to hold the guitar first, but that's next week.
So what was and shift gears a little bit, but it just there's a few things I just want to make sure we get to, and we'll get into it and run out of time. What was it like the first time that you found out that your songs were being played on the radio?
It was really cool. So I was actually driving in my car, which was I had done
a movie moment.
It was awesome. I had done an interview at a radio station about a month before this had happened. It was mid-June, and the producer texted me. He was like, "Hey, turn on the station now. You're on." He forgot to text me ahead of time. So I get this text, and I put it on. I'm like, oh my God, that's me. That's really cool. And it was this hour-long interview I did with this station up in Baltimore. And we talked about the EP I put out a year and a half ago and just all these different things. And it was a really, really cool experience because there's something about driving and hearing your song come through the airwaves and just on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever.
Right.
But it's a different feeling. It was so just gratifying to be able to be like, I am on a station and that's me. And that's really, really cool.
And at this point, we're not just talking hometown stations.
No.
You're on 40?
Today was the 40th time it got streamed, which I found out this morning, which was really cool. So it was Great Britain this morning. It was a station in England that.
So what's so now we've got to talk geographical coverage. Where all are you being played right now?
So it started in Baltimore, and then from there it jumped to Pennsylvania, and then a couple stations out in California, in LA and San Francisco, and then it jumped up to New York City, and then it jumped down to Florida, and then it jumped over to China last week, which is really cool. So I've been getting a lot of playtime over in a big city in China, and then it jumped to England this past week. But today was the 40th time, so it's been a really, really awesome experience. And
cool.
It's been all in 2 months. I had no idea any of this was going to be happening, so it's been really, really cool to watch it happen.
So and I just have to ask this question. This might, if this is an off limits answer, you can say so. But because I know there's other artists that watch the show, and there's people who are also not just from a community support, but also hey, what can I learn from this kind of thing? Yeah. If there's someone who hasn't had their stuff played on the radio, but they're interested, how did you make that happen? How did that come about?
It's all about saying yes. And it was a little offer that came, and the guy was like, we're the radio station's incongruence with the college. We'd really love for you to come up and just talk about your life experiences.
So an interview. So it started with an interview.
It started with an interview. Okay. So I went up and I was talking with the guys we'd love to have you on, come talk to us for a little while on air. So I did that. We recorded it. It was awesome. And then, honestly, I thought nothing else was going to come of this. And then I'm checking for artists, we have different Apple Music pages and Spotify pages and all that stuff, as you know. And you can go in and see where dots are popping up. And I'm seeing these weird dots I've never seen before. I'm like, what is this? And then all of a sudden we get we get 10 radio plays, then 20, then I'm like, what is that? It was really cool, but it was the one yes that I said, and I keep going back to those guys, and I'm still doing interviews and debuting my music with them, and
that's cool.
It's been really cool to just watch it spread, which has been really, really fun.
So I know you're going to talk about it a little bit when you play. So
Sure.
I don't want you to talk about necessarily the story behind it, but maybe process a little bit, because you've got, just going through some of your library. I mean, we can go all the way back to the hidden track that I didn't know was there. Was you singing an appearance with a DJ.
That's right.
All the way up through singles and EPs, and then you literally just released
Today,
released another song.
Yeah.
And so kind of from starting recording on the earlier material to where you are now, how has your approach changed? What do you know or feel differently about that process? Or is it kind of the same feeling and excitement, or same process and procedure as it was? Like, how much consistency and how much, I don't want to say growth, because it makes it like if you say, well, there hasn't been any growth. That's not in that way, but I mean, but kind of what's that journey been like from, because a lot of it's, from what I understand, very DIY, all the way to like your radio interviews, and you're being played on stations, and you've got quotes from newspapers and all kinds of stuff on your social medias and stuff, where you're getting some attention, justifiably so, for what you're doing. But how has that affect? And I guess this is the question: how has that affected your approach and behind the scenes to the writing and the releasing, and how you're approaching a song that you just released?
For me, it's all about the learning curve. I started off in a position where I had a group of songs, and the engineer I was working with was like, we'd love to just get you in, record this, see what happens with it. So I threw that out there. Nothing really happened for a couple months, and then it started to get some traction. Every once in a while, you'd see a couple hundred plays somewhere, just kind of sporadically throughout even the world, which was a really, really cool thing. But as you go, you learn more just about theory behind the songs, what you want to experience in a song, the microphones, all the different things that go into making a song. And I mean, I record out of my dorm room, which people don't realize. So I will record out of my dorm room, make sure it's all quiet, AC's off, all that stuff, and then send it off to my engineer in Baltimore and my producer. So he will go and kind of sort through everything, and God bless him, because he sits there, he was like, oh my God, I can hear people screaming in the background. He figures all this stuff out, but I record it in my dorm room. So it's such a learning process for me, because I pretend like I know things sometimes. I'm just trying to make it sound good at the end of the day. Yeah. So, I mean, however that happens, I mean, there's a million different things you can go through with different softwares and stuff, but it's been such an incredible learning curve, and one that you kind of need if you're going to do it as a DIY musician, because you just got to be able to adapt at all times. And did I think I'd be recording in a dorm room when I was 20 years old? No. Right. But that's what the fact of the matter is, and you make with what you have.
Gotcha. So no, it's a great attitude to have about it. And what you're doing, sometimes you hear something and you go, they did that in their basement. Like it's like you can tell, and it's, you know, and it's not necessarily. So I was surprised to hear that that's where you were recording stuff. So kudos not just to the process, but also to the engineer and the work that he's doing. We need to get to a break, because I definitely want to get you on stage. I want to hear more about the song, and I want we want everybody to hear the music. But before we go, as we get into these breaks, I like to kind of give a nod to where people can find you. Where can they stream your music? Where can they follow you online? Instagram, Facebook, whatever, website. And then if you've got any shows coming up, where can they come see you in person and support? So if you just kind of let everybody know what do you got going on, and kind of where they can find you.
Sure. And we're going to talk about shows a little bit when I get up there in a few minutes. But you can find me predominantly on Facebook, Mark Sucoloski Music on Facebook, on Instagram at Mark_acoustic. And you can always stream any of my music any time of the day you would like on Apple Music, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Prime Music, wherever you find your music. I am on there. iHeartRadio as well. That's a new station I was on. So
no kidding.
It's been a lot of fun. You can find me on all those different platforms, and feel free to Google my name as well. There'll be a long list of things that comes up for you. But yeah.
That's fantastic. All right, so we're going to go to a quick break. And so go throw the man some likes, follow his pages, stream his stuff, bookmark it, throw it into a playlist to listen to later. But here in just a few minutes, we're going to hear a couple of original songs from Mark. So we're going to take a real quick break, and we'll be right back. Thanks so much.
Welcome back to Sweet Pea. My name is Mark Sucoloski, and we're going to play two of my original songs right here. The first one is called Actually that we're going to do. It's Actually was the first song on my first EP. It was the first song I ever wrote. It's very near and dear to my heart. It's been a lot of fun to write this song and kind of let it grow throughout the years, because it's now 5-6 years old, but it's been a lot of fun. And we're going to play it right now. Again, this one's called Actually off my first EP, Just Can't Wait. Hope you enjoy it.
I go back to the places we used to meet, I can see your faces in all the empty places, like a lost cause of memory that's wasted. I know it was complicated all the time, yeah, we waited. Did it really have to end? The world keeps spinning and I don't know where to go. I feel so lost and I can't be found. Say it gets easier, but does it actually? Been a long time since I stared into your eyes, heard that laugh of yours that used to make me smile. When I see you around, I can't control all the feelings that I had to let go. I feel so misunderstood, I don't know where to go. The world keeps spinning and I don't know where to go. I feel so lost and I can't be found. Say it's easier, but does it actually? Whoa, the world keeps spinning and I don't know where to go. I feel so lost and I can't be found. Say it gets easier, but does it actually? Oh, the world keeps spinning and I don't know where to go. I feel so lost and I can't be found. Say it gets easier, but does it actually? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, audience. That was like I said, my first single off that first EP I released last year. And now we're going to move into the new song for today. So I literally released this song not even 12 hours ago on all over the world, different platforms, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spotify, all that good stuff. It's called Left Off. I wrote this song, part of it at least, down in a studio in Nashville. I was recording down there for a little while, and I sat down and I was kind of inspired by all the southern rock and country-ish vibes that were going on there. So I sat down and I was like, I want to write a southern rock song. And then 9 months later, it finally happened. I wrote the first part of it down in January in Nashville. And then I released it today, so it was a very long process to finish all this up, but it's really kind of rooted in this fact that I wanted to explore this genre that I've always enjoyed for a long time, but I always wanted to see how I could write in it. So this one's called Left Off. You can find it on all streaming platforms right now, right here, all over the world. Apple Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, all that good stuff. So I hope you really hope you enjoy it. And here we go. Walking down these streets I left alone, looking all around for someone to hold. And I stopped right there and see your smile, and I asked you to talk for just a little while. You sat down and looked right up at me. I said, hey miss, how are you? What's your name? Been 4 years lost, but I'm still the same. Been a long time, can you show me the place to go? She looked at me and gave me a smile, said, yeah man, it's been a little while. Be happy to show you around where you left off. Left off, yeah. Wow, wow. Rode around that town for the rest of the night. We kept on driving, there was nothing in sight, yeah. I looked at her, she looked at me, and all of a sudden I couldn't see. Put it in park, and I just stopped and stared, yeah. I said, hey miss, how are you? What's your name? Been 4 years lost, but I'm still the same. Been a long time, can you show me the place to go, yeah. She looked at me and gave me a smile, said, yeah, man, it's been a little while. Happy to show you around where you left off, left off, left off, yeah. Wow, wow. We sat around all night under the southern stars, and she leaned on over and played with my heart. I said, hey miss, how are you? What's your name? Been 4 years lost, but I'm still the same. Been a long time, can you show me the place to go? She looked at me and gave me a smile, said, yeah man, it's been a little while. Be happy to show you around where you left off, left off, left off, yeah. Wow, wow, yeah. Be happy to show you around where you left off. Thank you so much, I appreciate it. And that's Left Off. It's a brand new single. You can find it anywhere you stream your music right now.
Thanks again for being here.
Of course, yeah.
Guys, thank you, everybody behind the scenes and stuff. Thank you for everything that you're doing. Everybody that's watching, thank you guys so much. So they can find you all the streaming services.
Right.
One more time, your Facebook and your Instagram.
Facebook, Mark Sucoloski Music on Facebook, and on Instagram at Mark_acoustic. And if you're interested in booking, please feel free to reach out on any platform. I am open for bookings all up and down the East Coast, from South Carolina up to, let's say, New York, somewhere in that range, Maryland to North Carolina, whatever.
China,
Yeah, I mean,
wherever.
I'm on the radio, so you might as well go.
That's right.
Might
There
as
you
well.
go. There you go. It's awesome. Thank you again. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to be back in 2 weeks with Em and Ty. We'll see you guys then. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Mark, thanks so much, man.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate
I
it.
appreciate it.